Barbados, see it like a native. My name is Gigi, and today's date is December 18th, 2024. I'm coming to the citizens of Barbados with this topic entitled Barbados, a change not for the better, but for the worse. Again, the topic is Barbados, a change not for the better, but for the worse. While looking back on his days as a young man growing up in Barbados, my husband has seen how things have changed drastically, not for the better, but for the worse. Change is inevitable, but in this society, it's a change for the worse. Years ago, in the 60s and 70s, according to my husband, when you hired a laborer to do a job at your house, you could rest assured that you would get a full day's work. For example, a carpenter would come to your home and work from 7 o'clock a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m., giving you a full day's work. These days, a carpenter will come to your home and work from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and expect a full day's pay. The impression that they give you is, you should be happy that I even showed up. This is a change, not for the better, but for the worse. Even in the government system, there have been changes for the worse. Barbados is very hot. When government workers were working outside in the dangerous heat years ago, according to my husband, the government always provided water carriers, women whose jobs were to take water to the workers continuously throughout the day. Now the water carriers are gone and the standpipes are gone. A change, not for the better, but for the worse. These modern day government leaders don't have a clue about what a water carrier was. There used to be street signs to guide us from point A to point B all over the island. Now, street signs are very rare, except in some designated areas. You can drive for miles and miles and never see a street sign, particularly in the rural areas. Just recently, my husband and I were driving from St. George to Bathsheba, and we had to stop about 3 times to get directions to Bathsheba. We saw 2 signs reading Bathsheba this way, but had no way of knowing where we were at that particular time because there were no street signs. The 2 signs only pointed in the direction of Bathsheba because it is a popular tourist destination. He mentioned this to a younger man, and his reply was to use Waze, WAZE. That does not help anybody traveling on the roads of Barbados who do not have data on the road and know nothing about this Waze, WAZE. Again, this is a change, not for the better, but for the worse. He told me that as a young man growing up in Barbados, they had health inspectors who came to your home on a daily basis to make sure there were no rubbish or debris lying around your home. Your yard had to be spotless. Today, when I drive around Barbados, I see all of these abandoned cars, junk and debris around many homes. It's an eyesore, and nothing is said or done about it. A change, not for the better, but for the worse. Many may say that Barbados is a predominantly black island, and this is true. However, during my husband's youthful days, all the banks and bank owners were whites, and a jet black man like my husband's father could never obtain a loan. How my husband's parents and foreparents beat the system was they threw a meeting. This meeting has different names throughout the Caribbean. Some call it Susu and some call it partners. But the essence was to raise cash money to beat the evil banking system. Nowadays, our people are going to these payday loan companies to get quick cash, which comes with a high interest rate of return of 30% or more. If their grandparents and great grandparents knew this, they would turn over in their graves, knowing that their offspring have fallen from the path they were taught. And many are now living from paycheck to paycheck, which means that they are only one missed paycheck away from financial disaster. This is a change, not for the better, but for the worse. Let me now address the street rebels. Today, you see young men of working age refusing to work but rather hanging out on the streets of Barbados. Yes, I see them too. I've been coming to Barbados since the 80s, and years ago you never saw this. Young men were responsible. This influx of young men hanging out on the streets is a trend that was never seen in the past. Years ago, if a young man was not employed, he would be at home, working around the house, making himself useful, and keeping the surroundings beautiful and clean. These days, young men go as far as to use this North American term, hanging out on the block, not even having a clue of the meaning or the significance of what a block is, but just using the word loosely. A block was not a place designated for you to hang out and smoke weed in North America. A block is used as a way of measurement. Every 10 city blocks is a mile. Just like in Barbados years ago, there were solid concrete pillars 2 to 3 feet tall above the ground painted in yellow. These pillars were markers that indicated how many miles to Bridgetown or from Bridgetown you were. How many of you even know that a block is 1/10 of a mile? Yet you use this word loosely, trying to be Americanized. You need to be Bajanized and go and look for work. And stop the degrading of Barbados from a beautiful island to a sinkhole of hopelessness and despair. Losers. Again, a change, not for the better, but for the worse. In conclusion, I must say this. Barbadians must hold political leaders and politicians responsible for the deterioration of this beautiful island. You will only see politicians once every 5 years when they solicit votes. Let us hold them accountable for the faults and failures of this beautiful island. Politicians need to be true legislators who will guide us in the right direction and not just a paycheck receiver. Their actions could never have happened under the watchful eyes of Mr. Barrow. From 1961 to 1966, he brought about a change for the better, not for the worse. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Please do not forget to like, comment, subscribe to this channel, and share this video. Again, I'm Gigi from South Carolina, a true Bajan by naturalization. Thank you so very much for listening. And Barbadians, let us change Barbados for the better and not for the worse. Until the next video, have an amazing day. Thank you.